merch shop, and Patreon if you wish to support me.
Video time, enjoy!
Kobold, where are we? Gator, we're in the White Room, a magical place. I get put here a lot, even though I show my reason in great detail and show my math and formula. What do you mean? Well, White Room is usually best case scenario in math, outcome, or theory that's not viewed realistically. It's usually just a plain field, so that's why it's called the White Room. But what's super funny is the same people who point and cry White Room are usually in a whiter room. Welcome to Pack Tactics. I rarely read public forums nowadays. I'm too busy making videos. But anyways, there's a few calculations that are straight out not practical, but people still use them to this day and are completely unaware. It's one of the reasons why I started this channel, because there's so much false information about this game. And when you present the correct information with formulas, for example, they would put you in the White Room, and you'd be downvoted to oblivion. And when you're downvoted, you just get made fun of or ignored. In case you don't know, DPR is damage per round. It's average damage. On a D20 dice, you might get a 1, you might get a 20, or you might get the average of 10. So now we're on the same page. These numbers aren't fixed to one value. No one is making that claim. Everyone who calculates anything are fully aware of that. I don't understand why those arguments pop up. Everyone has rolled dice before. You don't need to point this out. Why is DPR important to understand? Well, it's a useful tool to understand the system mathematically, like monsters and classes and what have you. Like, I think it's a good idea just to have a basic understanding of things. And I've provided a lot of that in a lot of videos. Anyways, as time progresses, the more you understand DPR and its context in combo, action economy, and what have you, you'll stop caring about the actual DPR value. What you should be interested in is the ratio of damage dealt versus damage taken. Now we have to enter into the White Room. What is better? A flying barbarian with a bow doing 9 DPR to creatures who can't fly or reach him in any sort of way? Or a melee barbarian doing 25 DPR? Clearly the creatures can attack back here. In this context, I don't care about any baseline. The flying barbarian is clearly doing better because he's taking no damage. The melee barbarian is. He probably raged too. A valuable resource to half the damage taken. And that's another question. What is better? Taking half damage or no damage? I side with no damage. What is better, 17 AC or 24 AC? There's no opinion here. Now, who can get 24 AC? Not any martial character. The full casters can get that. What is better, killing a creature by doing lots of damage, or shutting down 4 creatures by doing 0 damage for 10 rounds? I side with shutdown. I know what you're gonna say. This is a solo combat simulation with the barbarians. There's a team you have to account for. That's true, but you can apply this metric to all the classes in the game, and every party you play with. Chances are high a melee character will go into melee and take damage, and there's a real mathematical question if the damage is worth taking or not. Sometimes it is. Majority of the times, it is not, because the party have a better solution to solve the encounter safely, like putting down web in a corridor. Or even they might all have 20 AC anyway, so it doesn't matter. Tanking isn't needed in this context, but sometimes it is. You have to evaluate your own table. I think you get the point. And no, I'm not telling you to tell other people what to do. Leave them alone. Valuate alone, unless they want to be part of that conversation. Moving on, here's how I calculate. I use chapter 9 in the DMG, and I can see the expected theoretical monsters the DM might throw at these levels. They might throw a monster from the books, or throw a homebrew monster. Doesn't matter. I can tell you for a fact, no matter what they throw, the monsters will always have an armor class. So I account their AC value to my math, like 15 AC at level 5. I might be wrong, I might be right, but I'm closer to being right because this can happen. We might actually fight a creature with 15 AC. I also account my crit chance, which is usually 5% because I crit on a 20, and when I crit, I do more damage. This is basic stuff. And yes, this is Whiterun, but mathematically that's the most accurate way we can find the correct DPR in D&D besides the DM telling us what the AC actually is there and then. And you'll find it eventually by playing the game, and from there you can turn it into correct DPR. People usually don't do that, and neither do I. I'm after the gist, really. Do you know what the internet does? They just add the dice alone. This build with a rapier has an 18 dexterity, so that means it does 1d8 plus 4, which is an average of 8.5 DPR. Hunter's Mark, good. 1d6, so that means 3.5 DPR. Doesn't this sound familiar? These values are more wrong than my math because they forgot the most basic rule in 5e, and that is every creature in the game has armor class, AC. All the assumptions are 100% to hit. Some people don't even know they're calculating 100% to hit by doing that. Gator, have you ever seen a creature without AC? Neither have I. 100% to hit doesn't exist. It's a wider room. When you get a natural one, no matter what, you miss. That's the rule of the game. 100% to hit is mathematically impossible, but everyone calculates like that. The reason why they do that is because it's easy to do and understand, but it's false and impossible to replicate practically compared to my calculation, and sometimes straight up misleading too. Then you have the more incorrect claims that should be plain obvious, max damage calculations or 100% crit chance calculations. Sure, max damage can happen or you might actually crit for that much, but it's not correct average, and you'll trick a lot of people into thinking the average actually is that high. It's so funny, those same people who calculate like that don't apply 100% to hit with Conjure Animals for some reason. They say Conjure Animals is bad because of their attack modifier is low. Wow! You finally accounted attack modifiers here, but not anywhere else. Oh, good job. Conjuring 16 Elks using their math of 100% to hit is 209 DPR. I can make a level 9 Shepherd Druid and turn that DPR into a thumbnail for a video that says 209 DPR at only level 9, and I wouldn't be wrong according to their math. I think the video would do well too, actually. That's obviously wrong DPR, and they know that, so why are they mathematically critical to Conjure Animals and not everything else? I don't understand. Let's say I have Sharpshooter, -5 penalty to attack roll. If the attack hits, you add +10 to the attack's damage. That -5 means 25% of your chance to hit is penalized, so obviously that changes your average damage, because you have a bigger chance to miss the shots. It's not a straight +10 DPR increase. It's more like it's a +4 DPR increase. That DPR increase, of course, depends on the build and what you're fighting. You can get it to like 6 or 7 in some cases, but it's impossible to get an average of 10 points increase because 100% doesn't exist. But everyone does it. Just look on YouTube for builds. Just look on the internet for builds. Moving on, sometimes the Whiterun has nothing to do with math, like talking about flying races. I say it's overpowered, and my reason was that flying up automatically counters more than half the books combined. This causes a stir. New books are out, so my information is wrong. A few people even claimed it was wrong back then too. It was 40% of the books combined. Some say 30%. And they might be completely right. One guy said he manually counted and said I was almost correct, but I don't really care what the value is. I want the value to be equal to the other racial options. What I'm trying to say is it doesn't debunk my claim of it being overpowered. 30%. Let's enter into the Whiterun and say it's 10% for the sake of argument. So my question to you would be, what racial feature or feat from Vuman or custom lineage can automatically counter 1% of creatures in all of the books combined, without spending resources or actions? I can't think of any except for racial flight, and that's 10%, so flight is overpowered. The other features can't even auto-counter 1%. It's 0%. I don't understand how you don't think that's overpowered. But this is Whiterun gibberish. The DM can homebrew the wolves having guns and spells and wings and things. It's impossible to predict the game. Yes, but we have a meeting point, a point of reference, and that is the system itself, the rule books. We can observe what is already in place officially. We don't have to play D&D together to talk about D&D. If you're not willing to meet the meeting points of the books themselves, then we're stuck in make-believe. We're not talking about the game anymore, and trust me, that's the widest room of all rooms. Oh, Monk is the strongest class in the game. I saw a monk shoot laser beams out of his eyes and do 100 DPR at will with no action or resource costs. The DM thought it was balanced. I'm still playing D&D 5e. There's no wrong way to play D&D 5e. Ha 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 ha. Do you see what I mean? This isn't a productive conversation. It's gibberish, but it might be true that I actually play the game like that, and you can't debunk it. I don't, by the way, but the point is, if I shared this to a 5e player wanting to talk about 5e analyzation or whatever 5e subject it is, we can't really go anywhere properly because both of us are playing two completely different games. All of us have to meet at the middle point, and that's the official books themselves. If we don't, we're in a wider room, and we're talking make-believe. I said this before. I don't know why this isn't obvious. So the conclusion is, no matter what you do, you'll be put in the white room. Me even reading the rules to you, that's a screenshot from the official rule books themselves, is white room. The DM might say no to this official rule, so it's white room. So really, the people who use the words white room use it because they don't like something. That's it. It's a negative term and not productive. They want to shut down conversation. I think you get the point. Meet me at the middle point.
Bye-bye.